Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Kaffee and Kuchen with Internationals in Germany podcast. Today, we have a new guest, a special guest. We have Salvador Fernandez. Salvador is originally from Mexico. He traveled to Germany like 8 years ago. His first goal was to do a master's degree in software engineering. He did that, succeeded, but then he decided not to go back home or to go anywhere. He decided to stay here in Germany and continue his journey exploring Germany and Europe. Salvador, it's very nice to have you today.
Hi there. Thanks for receiving me. It's very
Yeah,
nice to see you.
yeah, that's great. Okay, let's go back a little in time. So 8 years ago, or more than eight
hmm
years ago, when you were in Mexico, and you wanted to do kind of further studies. So you wanted to do a master's degree for to increase your knowledge about software and
hmm
about development. At this point, you made a
hmm
decision to do this study not in Mexico or even not in the USA, the neighboring country. You decided to go far away to Germany. So at this point, if you can to go back
hmm
at your thinking at this point, did you
hmm
choose Germany specifically for some reason or the other, or did you just want to explore? What did you have in mind back then?
Actually, I did have a quite a precise reason. I'm not that adventurous to just go like just like that.
Okay.
And in the current time, or like, well, actually, even nowadays, there are many scholarships to go to Germany or to study in Germany.
Mhm,
And I, for example, I took the advantage of like I applied for a scholarship to do a
mhm,
master's degree in Germany,
mhm,
and you were like, if you got it, you were technically like we're going to receive like money like monthly, like
mhm,
your studies will be covered with that scholarship if you received it. It was quite difficult to get it because you have to
mhm,
have good grades and there's a lot of bureaucracy, but yeah, I think that was one of the main factors
mhm,
and that made me go there. But I also have like other like a friend of mine already did it. Like well,
mhm,
at the time, I had a
mhm,
friend that was already in Germany, and he was telling me
mhm,
already like the pros and cons about things, and he was telling me that the studies were very hard. He was telling me that it was not easy,
mhm,
but that the quality of life was promising,
mhm,
and well. Overall, even as a Mexican, like I knew that Germany has like a good reputation in general for engineers and as a country.
mhm,
So yeah, at the end of the day, I was thinking that it would open many doors, even if at the end I returned to Mexico, having a master's degree of Germany like would open many doors.
mhm,
And like at the time I was working and I was not so happy with my work. I was like,
mhm,
okay, like I have curiosity of doing a master's degree. There's a
mhm.
scholarship like for Germany. I was single, so why not? No? Yeah,
Okay, that was great. And
pretty much a combination of all of that.
yeah,
Uh,
and uh, so this was your first phase, like the first 2 years doing the master's degree. Did you
mhm,
back then have any culture shocks, anything
mhm.
that was unusual about study, about the country itself, about your colleagues, about your professors? Are there anything remarkable you remember from this first phase of moving here in Germany?
Mm. The cultural shocks, actually I have like some funny stories to
Yeah.
talk about because like the I had quite the cultural shock just like arriving because
Okay.
I had to do some groceries. Uh,
Okay.
it was like a Saturday kind of evening, and
Okay.
I even remember the station for the people hearing that live in Hamburg.
Mhm,
I used to study in the TU of
mhm,
Harburg,
mhm,
and the station that I had to get down was Heimfeld,
mhm,
and I used to live in Triefstraße. It was like a Studentenwohnheim, like a
mhm,
student residence.
mhm.
And I remember that I went to the penny and I did my groceries, but at the end, the lady said like, "Oh no, like you can only pay with ese carte," you know. And
Okay.
that was my first cultural shock. That what? It's like I cannot pay with card. Like I didn't have any cash. It was my first day there, you know.
Mm.
So so like the lady said like nope, just ese carte, you know. And I was
Okay.
like, well, what is this ese carte? And somebody told me
Mm.
it was called electronic cash or something like that.
Mm.
And that was like my first experience. The lady was nice enough to tell me, "Don't worry, there's like a Haspa bank, you know, like
Mm.
around the corner. I can save your groceries, and you can." And I just went running, like I really sprinted because I was like a bit embarrassed, you know. So I really sprinted to the Haspa, went back, and then paid the groceries. But yeah, just just a funny story about like the my first experiences in Germany. But like for something more general, I did
Mm.
notice that that people were like not so expressive but helpful, you know. So like
Mm.
coming from Mexico, you are used to like see people like more like smiling or expressing
Mm.
like
Mm.
themselves a bit more, and here like people were a bit more like I don't know, not so expressive or super calm, or like sometimes one can also guess like indifferent, you know, like just a bit I don't want to say cold because that's not
Mm.
true, but like it can be shocking to you coming from a country that people tend to smile more or talk more. Like if you see like the opposite, then you might think like, oh, like this is like very different, you know, like.
Mm.
But also from the people, like I noticed that like okay, like
Mm.
they express themselves differently, and they're a bit more reserved, but nevertheless very helpful. So yeah,
Mm.
I never had any issues with Germans here.
Mm.
And but yeah, it did take me a while to kind of like detach myself from those expectations that I had from people, because like
Mm.
for example, like just a silly example, like in Mexico you smile a lot, you know, but
Mm.
it doesn't mean that you're like always happy, you know. It's just like cultural, you know. In other
Mm.
places people don't smile so much because they think it's silly or unnecessary, you
Mm.
know. And those are the things that you have to just adapt yourself, you know. And those things like
Mm.
of course in the beginning you're like, oh okay, like people act like this here, so you have to adapt yourself, no.
Mm.
And well, if you don't mind, like I do have like
Yeah, sure.
some other
Yeah, yeah.
points
Go
to
ahead.
tell about the shocking. Should I just keep going? Okay. Yeah, like but the most shocking one I think was like the bureaucracy like of
Mm.
Germany. That here like I noticed that everything is managed per post, you know, like by by postal or I
Mm.
don't know how to say it. So and honestly, like I was quite shocked about how letters like
Mm.
post, you know, were so important.
Mm.
Like that was actually like just quite a shock that at
Mm.
school, in banks, internet providers, in apartments, everything you will get everything per post, you know, like
Mm.
in the mailbox, like
Mm.
physically. And
Mm.
that was quite shocking because I was thinking like, oh, Germany, like it sounds like a first world country. They might be like flying here and they doing
Mm.
everything digitalized, you know. And
Mm.
and then it's like, oh no, it's not. It's actually the opposite sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, so those were the one of the shocks that I had in general. Later, like I also noticed that it's very difficult to have an apartment. Like that's also
Mm.
quite a shock because in Mexico it's not that difficult to get an apartment, and here you
Mm.
really have to fight for it, you know.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's like there are just many people. It's very requested. There are not so many, and it's kind of like a job interview, you know. That
Mm.
was quite shocking to me. And but yeah, but like also to mention like some, let's say, more positive cultural shocks. Later I also realized that it's still like actually until today that it's quite a cultural shock that you have a lot of rights here, you know, like
Mm.
when you finish your career and you're working, like you have a lot of holidays, like
Mm.
you have like even support of the government if you're unemployed, you know,
Mm.
because you pay a lot of taxes. And
Mm.
if at some point you're like you're in need or like unemployed, like the government supports you. There are like Bildungsurlaub, like some
mm,
very specific holidays for you to develop professionally. So like that's still a cultural shock that I really enjoy a lot, you know, like it's like,
mm,
oh, like, we have a lot of rights here, that's pretty cool, you know.
mm,
And also another positive cultural shock is that it's very, I feel really safe here, like it's really
mm,
secure, you know, like not only financially but also like well, from violence is like there's almost no
mm,
violence in my opinion, at least compared to
mm,
Mexico
mm.
here in Germany. So yeah, those are like a combination of like cultural shocks in a surprise, and others
Mm.
like in a positive and negative ways, you know, like
Yeah,
yeah, combination of
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah. These are great stories, and I think me
Mhm.
personally, and a lot of our audience will relate to these stories, especially for the bureaucracy, for example, which is a shock for a lot of internationals. Yeah, who has the same feeling that yeah, we come to Germany, we think everything is digitalized, and they see that everything is still very bureaucratic. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Quite a
Uh,
shock.
and yeah, and so Salvador, you spent, I think it was 2 years to do your master's degree, correct?
Yeah, yeah, like 3.5 or something. Really
Yeah,
took me way more than needed, but
yeah, yeah, no problem. But after finishing your master's degree, you were at a point that your goal of coming
Mhm,
was already achieved. So you had your master's, you had your degree, but at this point, you also
mhm,
decided, okay, that's not
mhm,
enough. I haven't done everything. I haven't explored the country the way I wanted. There is still more to discover and more to
mhm,
see. And so you decide at this point that I would stay,
mhm,
I will look for a job, and I will continue living here. So if we again go back to this point and look at what were your motives back then, did they have like mixed emotions? Should I go back or should I stay? Or should I go to a third country other than
mhm,
Mexico and Germany? Or was it a clear decision for you after 3.5 years that you love the country
mhm,
and you want to stay? How did you manage to take this decision?
mhm. Actually, like that's a very good question because by
Mm,
then it's not that you have your life here. Like you're
mm,
just like 2-3 years, like yeah, being a student. Like so many people stay, many people go back to their countries. But
mm,
in my case, I was thinking like, you know what? I kind of want to like feel like the life as a professional, like not just
mm,
as a student, because like
mm,
actually I'm gonna mix other stories of my life. But for
mm,
example, I studied in Finland 1 year,
mm,
and people were telling me like, oh, how was life there, and like how are the Finnish, and blah blah blah. And I was saying like, well, this is my opinion, and it is like this, like that, but I
mm,
have the opinion of a student, you know, or I had the opinion of a student, and I really wanted to change that here in Germany. I was like, oh, you know what, like I stayed here for 3.5 or 3 years, and I really want to like feel how it's like to put that masters into practice, you know, like to really like feel how does it feel to work there here, like to not be a student, you know, like to earn more money, and to compare that with Mexico, because in Mexico I worked for 1 year, and I wanted to at least compare like the working conditions of Mexico and of Germany at least 1 year. So that's the main reason I stayed. And but also from the studies, I really didn't like my studies, and there's a reason why it took me like 3.5 years. Normally,
mm,
it takes you two, but I really
mm,
didn't enjoy my studies so much because it was a master's degree very very focused on research, and
mm,
I found out in the middle of the master's that I really was not so passionate about research, but I
mm,
finished it nevertheless because it was like, oh, you know what, like it's not that bad
mm,
that I just want to quit and go back, but it was very challenging to finish it because
mm,
it was very oriented in research. I was not really prepared in many things. Like studies were very hard,
mm,
But while studying, I had a mini job, like a student job,
mm,
in which where I actually learned many things. I actually learned quite some German, and I learned many things about web development, actually.
okay.
And that mini job did open many doors, actually. Like that combined with the master's degree opened many doors, because there I learned a bit more of German, and I
Mm,
also started to develop to develop more like a career towards web development. So
mm,
actually, it was like a combination mainly of the mini job, but combination of the master's degree with that mini job, and like wanting to stay. But
mm,
yeah, and also in general, German people strike me to be like very kind and understanding at
mm.
the end. And last but not least, like one of the main reasons I stayed is because I had a girlfriend, and actually she's still my girlfriend.
Okay.
So yeah, that was also like quite a
Yeah.
reason to stay.
Okay. That's a good reason,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. And let's
Yeah.
reflect a little on your on learning the German language. This is a
Mhm.
big topic for every international coming
Mhm.
from another country to Germany.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
already try to learn some German? How advanced is your German? Is it easy language for you, a hard language? How is it compared to Spanish, where you speak at home in Mexico?
Jesus, man, it's super hard. It's like it's I came with A1. It's like the
Mm,
most basic, and I honestly think that it's quite a hard language. Like from my mm, point of view, I've been here for 8 years and a half, and I still make mistakes. Like I
mm,
speak it fluently. I work in German and everything. Not It's not an
mm,
issue, but I nevertheless make mistakes, and even after so many years.
mm,
But my story is that I arrived here with A1. Like
mm.
I just could
The
say
basic.
like "wie geht's,"
Mm,
wrongly pronounced, and hey, yeah, how are you? And that's it.
mm,
And but like it was a bit harder than expected to learn it,
mm,
because my studies were in English. So I did
mm,
my master's degree in English, and I
mm,
always had international roomies. So I was not
mm,
really like I didn't have any German roomies or roommates. And or friends, because like in my master's degree there were a lot of international people, and not many people were so motivated to learn German, to be honest, because of the difficulty. And many people were just like, okay, my master's is in English, I'm just going to focus on that. And like, yeah, Hamburg also, they speak like English very well, so it
mm,
was quite hard to learn it. It took me more than expected, because like the only way like that I started to really learn was like by watching some series or movies in Netflix that I already knew and understood,
mm,
but with German subtitles or dubbed in German. So I was putting a bit like more effort outside, like outside, I mean, like of the classroom, to like improve. And I was like registering myself to like some sports activities in the uni, so that you can, like, I don't know, socialize more with German people,
mm, mm,
because that's what helped me the most in learning the language, because it's more motivating, at least for me. Like I get more motivated, or I remember things better when I have someone face to face. So like I learn better like that, rather than
mm,
just doing some online courses by yourself at home.
mm,
And you're in the country, so like you can just like practice going to the store. You
mm,
can really easily practice if you want to. So
mm.
that's pretty much how I did it. And also in my first mini job, the one that I mentioned earlier, I actually tried to have I actually I now I it comes like I have a funny story to tell,
Yeah, sure.
that I I tried to do the interview in German for that mini job, but my German
Mm,
sucked quite a lot. I barely made it. Like the guy
mm,
was very nice, like it was like, you know what, you're a software. Like I'm a software developer, and software
mm,
developers, or at least in that job, they didn't really need that much German.
mm,
And they were nice enough to give me a job, but at some point we switched to English because it was not possible
mm,
to communicate properly, and they spoke very good English. So
mm,
there's a funny story that in that mini job, I stayed like for 2 years,
mm,
and I started the first year in English, but then I said like, hey, like, can you help me learn German? the same colleagues and the people that knew me there, they started to switch to German because they really appreciated that I was making an effort, and they really saw that I wanted to learn, or that I wanted to integrate myself. And I was really saying that, hey, like I want to learn, and you're German, like maybe we can do like a tandem, or like you can teach me. And they were all very, very like encouraging, like encouraging me to learn. And that, I think that's one of the things that helped me the most, like that people are just like German people in general, they really appreciate it when you try to learn their language, and they really support you and they really teach you. At some point, you switch to English, but yeah, like it took me many years, to be honest, like just to speak something decent. But yeah, it was because of all of the conditions I said before. And at the end, I managed mainly because of the interaction with people, and also like watching a lot of movies and stuff at home with the German subtitles and stuff like that. Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
quite a slow
And
process.
yeah, one topic, Salvador, that many internationals struggle with when living in a foreign country and
Mhm.
in Germany, that they stay inside the international bubble, as you said, for a long time. So all of their friends are from international backgrounds. They
Mhm.
speak either English or their native language. For example, for you, it will be Spanish. So all communication, all friends,
Mhm.
all events is attended with international people. So do you still feel you are in this international bubble,
Mhm.
or do you feel more integrated in Hamburg and in Germany, and you have now like sense of belonging? You know more Germans, and you are more into the German
Mhm.
culture.
It's such a good question, like it's it really makes you think a lot, because
Mm,
I'm gonna be like quite honest.
mm,
Like I don't think like I don't think that I'm like trapped in the international bubble, or I don't
mm,
think it's hard to like have German friends, or like to incorporate
mm,
yourself like in the community. But
mm,
I must say that most of my close friends are international, So it's
mm,
like, so it's actually it's a fact that I do feel integrated myself. It's like it at work, like in all of the jobs that I had in the uni, or with people,
mm,
and I feel that I understand them, and like it's really like I don't think it's really hard to integrate yourself in like in the working environment, for example.
mm,
But what I think it's more difficult, in my opinion, it's to make a closer connection with German people.
mm,
And that's from the, well, I cannot generalize German people or whatever, but from
mm,
my experience, um, the friendships, the German friendships that I have, which are like not that many, they take a lot
mm,
of time. And because like here the culture, from my eyes,
mm,
from my point of
mm,
view, they're a bit more like reserved. They take more time to actually bond, like they are not
mm,
super like talkative, or like going straight to, or yeah, let's be friends.
mm,
They're a bit more reserved. And we also have like different personalities in humor and culture, so you first have to like I don't know, overcome that, and then
mm,
bond. And I think that many people, including myself, you
mm,
kind of bond easier with expats or with international people, because you're living the same, you're struggling with the same issues with the language, or
mm,
like you have automatically empathy,
mm,
you have automatically empathy. You can put yourself easily in the shoes of the other person. And I
mm,
think that's one of the main reasons why like many people just get along better with yeah, like for example, I can give you a very good example.
yeah.
I was like I was renewing my passport, my Mexican
Mm,
passport in Berlin,
mm,
and I met there a Mexican guy, of course.
mm,
And I remember that we just clicked and bonded like in a couple of seconds, like like really like in a minute maybe. And we
mm,
exchanged numbers, like we sent ourselves like a lot of audios, in WhatsApp. And I was like,
mm,
wow, like like we really liked each other. Like we have like kind of like a friendship, and all
mm,
because we were like renewing our passport. And I was thinking like, damn, like it's way faster and easier, like sometimes with internationals, because you're going through the same things, you're having like a automatic and empathy like towards each other. And yeah, that may be the reason, perhaps, in my opinion, that most people like have more international friends, you know. And at the end, yeah, like I am in the international bubble when it comes to my close friends, but I do feel that I have learned enough about German culture that I can also make friends in the at work. I have some good friends at work, but it's not that we hang out like every weekend, or like we don't do much outside, you know. Like we joke around even like at work, you know, like we laugh and everything. But like yeah, I don't have that many people that I would invite to my home, for example. Yeah, there are mainly internationals, but for the Germans, like I have just a few, very few. But well, as they say, like it might be slow but very steady, you know, or very secure. Like when you have a German friend, you have him or she for life, you know. Like
Yeah. Okay. And Salvador, let's go to your
Mhm.
future plans. So if you can tell us about this. So do you feel like Hamburg is finally your home? Do you see yourself here getting older and staying in Germany
Mm,
for extended period of time? Or do you think it will be a phase of 10, 15, or 20 years and then you go to another country or go back to Mexico? How do you see your future
mhm,
being an international in Hamburg and in Germany?
mhm. Actually, I really like consider Germany, specifically Hamburg, like my home now, because of
Mm,
after so many years of being here, like 8 years and a
mm,
half. I've already made my life, my friends, like I've already integrated myself, like I'm in the system and working here. And and for example, last month actually I went to Mexico, and
mm.
at some point I actually wanted to come back, you know, like
Wow.
because I was like,
Mm,
okay, Mexico is for holidays, but I don't really have my
mm,
life there, you know. I
mm,
was like, yeah, it's perfect for holidays, but for my life,
mm,
like where I work, like all of the, let's say I pay the bills here in Germany, or like
mm.
I
Yeah.
have my girlfriend here, I have my friends here and
Mm,
everything. So yeah, so it's like yeah, that's actually, even some people ask me that question when I was in Mexico. Is like, oh, like
mm,
they always ask me the same question, even though they see me coming and going every year.
mm,
Oh, and like, are you gonna stay there, or like, do you consider it your house and or your home? And it's like, your house. Do you consider it your home?
mm,
And I was like, well, yeah, actually, there's a reason why I'm staying there, and
mm,
I think that I really like the quality of life here. Like,
mm,
it's really like once you adapted yourself, like once you incorporated yourself,
mm,
it's quite pleasant to be here, and I
mm,
personally feel safer. I said it before,
mm,
like safer economically speaking. I've seen like many jobs in my career, in my domain. That's pretty cool, well paid. Like you have a lot of rights. You have like a lot of holidays, enough holidays
mm,
for me to visit Mexico, you
mm,
know.
mm,
So I think that's the game changer, you know. Like
mm,
I can visit my family like anytime every year, so that's why I
mm,
don't take it that personal.
mm,
um but yeah, but nevertheless, actually, just in case, I
mm.
am, well, it's not a just in case, but I am in the middle of the paperwork of becoming German.
Wow.
This paperwork has been
Mm,
there since 1 year and 2 months, and
mm.
still no response.
Of
There you
course, it
go,
takes time.
bureaucracy. Yeah,
Mm,
I'm not in a hurry. Yeah,
mm,
exactly. It takes time. I'm not in a hurry, but I do think sometimes like I get kind of like not afraid, but I say like, hey, like if I have to go back to Mexico for more than 6 months with my
mm,
current visa, I would have issues, you know?
mm,
Because
mm.
like with the current visa that I have, or many visas that you have, you cannot leave the country for more than X amount of months, you know? In my case would
Yeah.
be 6 months. And I was thinking like, well, you know what? If something happens, I would like to have
Mm,
the German passport so that I can come and go like whenever I want, or
mm,
if I want to move to another European country, that will be really open even more doors, no? So
mm,
I don't discard that in the future maybe there's something happens and I move from Germany, but right now I really think of staying here at least another 10 years, at least, So yeah,
Yeah,
I really consider it my home.
yeah, that's good. And now to a more general question, because also part of our audience are
Hmm.
still internationals, but still not in Germany. So the internationals in their home countries, like
Hmm.
students or people in Mexico
Hmm.
and other European countries in Africa or South America. And they may think, like, or they may ask themselves, is like doing a master's degree and taking the path as Salvador did to have a job, is this like exciting? Is this something you would recommend to everyone? What do you advise people who are in your situation and still in their home countries?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, particularly like for example, well, first of all, in my opinion, as a Mexican, I really don't think that, for example, Germany is better than Mexico or Mexico is better than Germany. It's just a matter of preference. For example,
Mm,
the same goes for studies, like
mm,
a master's degree. I would recommend it if you really like research or if you
mm,
find like a topic that you're like, oh, you know what, I really want to specialize in this and before going to the industry or something like that. Or
mm,
maybe you're already in the industry and you are like, oh, you know what, I really want to develop myself and specialize
mm,
myself in this. I
mm,
think it's I think it's quite exciting. Doesn't matter where you do it. Like it doesn't have to be Germany, but
mm,
I think it's quite exciting because like even if you enjoy it or not, like the study, like in my
mm,
case, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like
mm,
research at the end, but I
mm,
discovered like I really expanded my horizons a lot. I discovered many things on the way, and it
mm,
really like opens many doors. Like it also teaches you many things, not only like theoretical things, but things of life.
mm,
Like I would recommend the experience of living abroad because you will learn many things not only of others but also about yourself.
mm,
Also, while studying abroad, like that experience, I recommend it more. And
mm,
yeah, and like that adventure, like will teach you like many things. And
mm.
yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but you'll never know until you try it. No.
Yeah. Okay. And one hypothetical question just came to my mind. Imagine that like 8 years ago, two different Salvadors exist at the same time. One of them is the one who moved to Germany, and the other one who stayed in
Uh-huh.
Mexico and lived there. After 8 years of time between the two people, who would you like to be?
Oof. Oof, that's a very good one. You're putting me on the spot, Mohammed?
You can skip it if you feel it's
Hmm.
embarrassing.
No, no, it's quite interesting, but so like there are two me's, the one that stayed in Mexico and the one that
Mm.
it's me right now in Germany, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And who would I prefer to be? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything, but yeah, the one that I am right now, like I'm quite satisfied with
Yeah.
the decisions that I did, and yeah, exactly. There's a reason I did it. I have no regrets at all.
Mm.
Although I don't discard the fact that I see myself happy in both paths. Like
Mm.
I think it's also a matter of well, it's gonna get philosophical, but like if you're happy with yourself, you're happy like anywhere, no, like or
Mm.
any path that you take. So like
Mm.
I think like that's the most important thing, and
Mm.
yeah. But for the moment, and considering facts and many things, because I have been in touch with people from Mexico,
Mm.
like not only sentimentally but also objectively, I really prefer it here.
Mm.
I prefer it. I'm not saying that it's better than Mexico, but I prefer the life that I'm having here as the one that I could have had in Mexico. And
Mm.
yeah, for like many reasons, economical or from security and stuff like that. Well,
Mm.
and also many personal reasons. But yeah,
Mm.
like definitely I'm liking this path.
Yeah, that's great.
I would
Okay,
do it again.
Salvador. Yeah. Salvador, now, the last question was my final question. Now we have space to tell our audience anything you want to add or any advice, any story. So the stage is yours.
Thanks. Well, I wanted to say just something general, like
Mm,
offer like a general, I don't know if advice, but like for anyone that is like considering to go abroad or is
mm,
already abroad, I will just give like an advice that has always helped me, and is to like
mm,
to always, or well, like it's not really, it's easy to give the advice, but it's not easy to actually
mm,
do it. But really
mm,
like always stay very positive, and don't think or don't be predisposed of negative things when you see things that are
mm,
different than in your culture. Like for
mm,
example, if people don't smile a lot in a country or in somewhere, like it
mm,
doesn't necessarily mean that they're angry or that they're mean, it's just that it's maybe cultural, and that's
mm,
like kind of like the words that I would like to like leave in this message is it's cultural. Sometimes like I don't know, you might see something different and take something personal, but like I would really suggest to like I don't know, to always think alternatively and say like, you know what, something happened to me that I didn't like, but maybe this person or in this place, like it's just how things are, like how people
mm.
grow up, how they grew up, it's cultural, like from that place. And like I would really like suggest to, doesn't matter where you are, try to like really be open and try to adapt yourself to where you are, like try to learn the language, try to like speak with people, and that would
Mm,
make really things easier. And yeah, and literally just like be positive and try to like dive into the culture. Like I'm not saying that you have to listen to the like classical music of whatever you are and literature, like but like I mean like really be open and try to also be understanding, because like other people are also like that. Sometimes they also
mm,
like to learn from you, and you for sure
mm.
can learn like from each other, and then like just yeah, have a nice time. But that's
Yeah,
that's that's pretty much it, like the
yeah.
some kind of positive message that I wanted to end with. Yeah.
Thank you, Salvador. I think this is a message that almost every international need to hear. Yeah, this was it. I enjoyed this recording very much with you, Salvador. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Mhm. Oh, thanks to you, Mohammed. It was really a pleasure being here. And yeah, looking forward to hearing this when it's live.
Thank you. Yeah. And for our audience, please subscribe and share this episode. And again, if you feel that you have a story that's worth telling as an international, we will leave a link to our form in the description where you can fill in your information, and we will definitely contact you. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice time. Thank you.